We are live, RTD Live Talk, Detroit's #1 late night YouTube talk show. Excited to be back for a Monday evening stream. And tonight, just want to find out what's on your mind, as well as share with you a couple articles that I came across that I think worth discussing, just because it paints more of a picture as to what's really going on outside of what the mainstream media would like us to believe. So with that being the case, welcome to this live stream. Give it a second to make sure everybody is able to be notified, hopefully, and then we'll get into this live stream. Won't be long tonight. Want to hear from you guys. And so we got Kevin Michael. We got Digital Oil. Alan, how you doing, my friend? We got King D. Says, damn shows, you are ready. Mike is ready. Really cutting out the stream short. It's really, no. No, we're just getting started. But yet trying to cut back on that hour time frame because the hour of ranting on my part gets kind of long. And so apart from just having some good interaction from you guys, we can talk, we can keep this thing going a little bit. So, but yeah, when it's time to open up those phone lines, I want to hear from you guys. So, Pabar, Alex Miles, Tony Blaylock, how you doing, people? So let's get right into some articles. And then also, based upon the little news thing I did earlier, I want to get your thoughts on that. And then as soon as I finished that live stream earlier, basically talking about the push to go solely digital, within like 10 minutes of ending that live stream, I came across an article that plays right into how and why they're going to be rolling that stuff out. And it happens to do with just the true nature of our economy and how the cover up of this health pandemic, of course, makes it easier for them to throw out all types of tests and suggestions on how to stimulate the population. As it shows here, almost half the population is unemployed or underemployed, and you name it. So we'll go from there. But David says, why are cryptos in trouble? Alex Miles. Cryptos are in trouble. Yeah, Alex Miles, feel free to let your thoughts be known about that. And so I'm going to get right into this first article here and just share with you a couple of things, and then we'll get into more. And so the very first article is not this one. I will go back. And so this is the article I came across literally as soon as I finished the live stream from earlier. And I covered the whole universal basic allowance program that was being rolled out in Stockton, I believe, or Stockholm, or Stockton, Sacramento. I think it was about 2 years ago, maybe now. And so it was a test trial. And so the question was, why test it at that particular point, apart from the fact that they needed to sow some seeds into what they would like to do and what might be needed due to the large financial gap or large gap of financial inequality due to the nature of our monetary system. And so the richer have gotten richer and everybody else is left behind. Therefore, what better way to come in and try to save the day other than giving people an allowance? And so here, article says Los Angeles, Atlanta, among cities joining coalition to test universal basic allowance. And so I've converted it from UBI to UBA because if you look at the word income, definition of it means basically to earn something and to work for something. And an allowance basically is something that's given to you with some stipulations on top of it. And so whoever gives or whatever, whatever. I forgot the little cliche as I was trying to say. But anyway, so here is the mayor here, Michael Tubbs. And so this is what I was really talking about 2 years ago and how he's a mayor. And Stockton's the demographics is predominantly African-American. And so extremely an impoverished area. And so he put together the idea of trying to do a test subject with, I think, with about 1,000 individuals. And I want to say it's 500 or so a month. And a part of the program was the goal. It was to see how it works. And so to see the people's reaction being given funds every month, what would they do with it? Would it better their situations to make it worse? And of course, the funds were contributed by a private institution or whatnot. And so it was not federal money. So that's one of the things that made it very tricky, because if somebody's funding the program, of course, it's easy to just dole it out and dish it out. But yet I always knew that at some point the Federal Reserve would have to get on board. And so here we are now. So it's a nice lengthy article here. But just to give you an idea for those that may not know, it says when Tubbs announced Stockton's program in 2017, which gives 500 monthly to 125 residents, it's garnered attention from the media. And of course, Stockton's nothing new. They did it in the EU and other places as well. And ultimately, it just points out that it doesn't work because it doesn't incentivize people to even be creative. They just become, I I ain't gonna say lazier, but just they lose ambition to try and to do for themselves. And that's where this stuff is heading. And so here's a little bit more information here. But once again, mainstream article introducing or reintroducing another topic that will get mainstream attention. And of course, more people are going to latch onto it. And then it only takes a good amount of days or weeks for this to continue to remain on the front page of news stories before all the protesters and all those people that's out there protesting for whatever will jump on board and want to get some of this universal basic allowance in their wallets. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, the process in which they would do it, it would happen to be through the Federal Reserve, through the Fed accounts and all that stuff like that. So anyway, interesting article there. I would encourage anybody, if they're interested, to find out more. And so let me check in via chat real quick. It says, prepare for what's coming and be a light amongst the darkness. Very true. We got Mike from Sydney, Australia. Mike, how's things in your neck of the woods? Tidrinium Hanger says, what up, Mike? What would one with 100K in the bank convert to tangible assets? How does that change for 1 million? Let me see. So the question is, what would one with 100,000 in the bank convert to tangible assets? How does that change for 1 million? Well, my personal opinion, it all depends on your individual, unique, your future outcome. What do you desire to? How well do you desire to diversify yourself with those assets there? So the more you have, the more you have to lose. And so the strategy should be a lot more tailored towards your risk tolerance, as well as what you're knowledgeable in and able to securely, I wouldn't say hold in your possession, but yet have the least amount of risk that you can associate yourself with when it comes to those asset classes. And so me personally, I'm not one of the gambling type. And so unless I know exactly what I'm doing, I don't speculate in that particular sector. So outside of the conventional things, which of course financially is metals, and of course a lot of buzz on the mining equities nowadays, sketchy on that, but yet it holds promise. And then on top of that, real estate is one of those things where people do artwork, all the things that the 1%ers have already been doing for years now. And at this point, it's not too late, but yet everything is relatively expensive. So it all depends on your age and all types of things, because that's more around the financial realm. But one thing I focus on and just encourage people is the whole idea of getting your weight up. And so that means precious metals, just because it's historically sound and it's proven to preserve. Now, whatever else on top of that you want to do, it all depends on your risk tolerance, as well as how much you're willing to educate yourself as you head down the pathways. So just my personal thoughts there. But of course, it goes a lot deeper than that. That's just on the surface. Let me see here. What else going on? So let me check back in. It says Biden. So I got an article on Biden as well. I'm gonna get into that in 1 second. Kevin says you will have to spend all the UBA every month, get that vax, and wear a face mask to receive it. That is that will be the long term. That's how things will play out long term. Of course, initially that first 6 months, a year, give or take, it's the introduction phase. It's the getting people used to depending upon and basing their lifestyle choices, as well as their current expenditures around that income that comes in per month. And then once they got you in, you're hooked. You've pretty much reduced, more than likely, majority of people will reduce their creative capacities to just cater towards that stream of allowance, and never mind and think less about continuing to earn on their own, so that they're not be dependent upon one source. And then once that happens for the majority, they got you hook, line, and sink. And then what happens last. The 3 T's. They're going to test you, track you, and tag you. And then it's going to be hard to put up a little resistance when your lifeline comes from the government solely. So it says, when's the last time the powers that be did anything beneficial for we the people? Crypto will be another form of control. Yeah, we could touch on that as well. Digital oil, land, crypto, metals. I would agree, my friend. And so let me get into this next article, and then I'll open up the phone lines and I'll stop ranting. And so one of the things that really caught my attention is this article here. Actually, that's not it. Give me a second. And let me see here. Where we go? I lost it. Shoot. Let me get this article back. Give me 1 second here. Let me figure I got the wrong page. Give me 1 second. I'll get this corrected. So this article here struck a nerve because it's something that I enjoy doing. It says, I'll stop that and go back and find it again. Give me 1 second. Here we go. Bam. All right. So this article here, Airbnb. I mentioned Airbnb, the issues they were having right alongside with the market correction happened in March, and the consequences of all those people that were overly leveraged in rental properties and all types of real estate investments that were dependent upon having tourism at full peak. And now that most of the borders are closed and moving forward, not quite sure how the tourism will be received in most countries. And so from this article here, Airbnb CEO, it says travel may never be the same. And then it goes into a lot of other things. But when I saw that, it definitely touched home close to me because I'm a person that loves to be able to get up and go somewhere. And it's one of those things where, based upon the circumstances we've been presented with, their goal is to, as we're seeing more news about a second wave, they're trying to continue that narrative that things are getting worse, even though you check the alternative media realm, the news is not as bad as they would like for us to believe, but that's a part of the controlling narrative. So, but here, Airbnb CNO, travel will never be the same. That definitely does not put a smile on my face because I was definitely looking to try to go somewhere this summer if I could, and I'm still on the fence about it. Let me see here. So read back to the chat. It says, where do you hear that? Let me see. You can get counterfeit crypto with gold, silver. You can. It says RTD. Tony says, have you heard there's going to be a financial blackout in Canada on July 2nd through the 9th? Tony, I did not hear about that. Feel free to let me know about that, and I'll Google that and see. I'm curious about what that is. Canadian blackout. And see what pops up in the news, if anything at all. Let me see. Great Canadian Gaming announces. So nothing pops up. So, of course, it's not a mainstream story. So, Tony, feel free to let me know about that one. I'm curious to find out what you're talking about. King D says, I work in that industry. Travel is booming right now, and the tourists are getting worse and worse. So, he says travel is booming, but tourists are getting worse and worse. So, is that just domestically, international, what? Feel free to elaborate on that. David says, I want a bed and breakfast in Quebec, Canada. This year, we're letting our customers decide their price. Really? And so, assuming with that should incentivize people to head your way. How has business been thus far, David? Let me know. All right, so let me get to the next article. Then I'm going to open up the phone lines, and then we can talk. So here's an article here that I think is very interesting. And so this article here is as of, let me see when they come out, as of today. And it says 38% of voters think that one of the current presidential nominees, or the current, Biden, I'll leave it at that, has dementia. And so it says 20% of the voters in his own party, 20% of the voters in his own party think that he has dementia. And so let me see. The latest Rasmussen reports national telephone and online survey finds that 30% of the likely U.S. voters would think Biden is suffering from some form of dementia based on what they have seen and read. 48% disagree. And so, once again, just a study. I'm not sure how many people they says a survey of 1,000 voters conducted last week. So out of 1,000 voters, 38% said that they think he has dementia. So I'm curious, what do you guys think? Is because he's had more than enough bloopers that would convince us all that something's not right. And so I'm curious to find out what you guys think. Let me know in the chat. I think that's very interesting because given the fact he doesn't seem mentally stable. And on top of that, he's a long lifetime politician figure that's a part of the problems we have now. So apart from just flat out hating Trump, and if you're going to vote, I was like, okay, Biden, is that the best they can give us? Not sure. But, okay, we got a call here. So let's get into this call real quick. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from? Hello?
Mike, is that you?
Yes, it is, sir. How you doing? What's your name? Where you calling from?
Cecil Brown, calling from a beautiful Apollo Beach, Florida. It's 98 degrees here today.
Cecil Brown, how you doing, my friend? What's on your mind tonight?
Well, I don't know if you've seen the stuff about fintech and how it's going to be the financial basis of the New World Order that's getting ready to come in July the 30th? Have you heard anything about that?
That particular date there, no, but I am aware of all the activity happening in that realm. But shine some light on it, and I'll look it up real quick to find an article or something like that.
Okay, if you just Google FinTech,
Yeah.
Obama worked with them for, I think, 4 or 5 years, and he handed it off to Trump, and then Trump has proceeded to go with him.
Mm-hmm. And so let me see what's the article here. Go ahead, keep talking.
And Congress is going to elect our new leader, what's left of Congress after whatever's going to go on goes on.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not going to be an election. That's going to be our new leader. It's not going to be a president. It's going to be like a director of the U.S. on this new world order.
Okay, so I would not say that's far-fetched. So I know that there are some things happening behind the scenes. I'm of the mindset that we also may not be able to reach to that point in November to actually have an election. So I am along with you as far as how and what, where, when. I don't know about all that, but I will continue to look for that information. So I appreciate you for bringing that to my attention, but nothing pops up right away, even though I'm sure there's something there.
Okay, in FinTech, they're selling a crypto too, and it's not Bitcoin.
It's not
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin.
Crypto.
All right, so you say I'm trying to look for this now. Let me see here. You say July 30th. So that particular date. So is that from an article or what? Where did you find that from?
Yeah, I was on YouTube over the weekend, and now it's taken down.
Oh, okay.
And if you send the YouTube
Yeah.
on the message, it will not play.
All right. Well, hey, I'm gonna keep looking for that. I appreciate you for calling and sharing that. And if anybody in the audience, is familiar with what he was referring to, definitely let us know, and we can talk about it further. So thanks for calling in, Cecil.
Okay, you're welcome, Mike.
Yeah, be good. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate the show.
Thank you. All right. I appreciate you for calling and sharing that. So basically, let me know what you guys think. Open up the phone lines, and we can talk a little bit more about that. And so July 30th. And so that's interesting to hear an actual date. And so whenever I hear an actual date of something that's pre-planned, I'm skeptical, just because usually they'll hint at it, but to tell you the exact date and time, it's kind of suspect, but you never know how they operate these days. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is D.D. Purple, Eastern North Carolina. How you doing?
I'm doing good, my friend. What's on your mind tonight?
Good. These one-day spikes with the coronavirus or the CD, the cerveza bug.
Yeah.
Where are these numbers coming from? And not only where are the numbers coming from, but why are there any journalists at these so-called sites or facilities that are doing all this testing? We don't see any of that, but they're inflating these numbers. So in the fall, when the flu comes, the symptoms are exactly the same.
Yeah.
So, of course, there's going to be a spike. So they're going to roll all over to what? The cerveza bug. So
Yeah.
this is all to do what? More control, right?
Yeah.
People got to wake up. It's just not possible. These numbers just keep spiking.
Yeah.
They give us no relation to where the numbers are coming from. And I don't see any journalists reporting the areas that are actually reporting these numbers in.
Yeah.
But it's just fake numbers to me. They're fake numbers.
Yeah. And the leading entities rather happen to be the mainstream news. And so they're all in it. They're all owned by the same entity. So nobody should be surprised. And so, yeah, but that's what we're told.
Yeah. So the only other change here was Walmart. They were mandatory that you wear masks. So I told them, are they going to have security here to stop anybody that's trying to come in? Because you can't just touch people and force them out of your store.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only major change here in the East North. Otherwise, I go to Piggly Wiggly and I go to the food bar.
Yeah. Wow. So, yeah, that sounds pretty strict down there. I mean, so here, as I mentioned before, it's relatively loose. It's, everybody still is wearing one, but yet there's no one that's going to enforce it. So outside of people eventually probably getting mad at you, and eventually watch what's going to happen is citizens who wear masks and are very conscientious and concerned and scared, they're going to respond, and they might put a hand on you and escort you out the store. So there's going to be some violence as a result of all this, I'd imagine.
Well, yes, and I'm pretty sure that's exactly the way it's going to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hey, man, appreciate you calling.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I got for you, Mike.
Thank you, sir.
Man, love your show.
Thank you, my man. Appreciate you.
All right. Take care.
Yeah. So yeah, that's another thing. Like, so the enforcement aspect of things. So you can, of course, you can comply, you can resist. And so just, I think it was yesterday in the store, me and my wife was walking through and everybody relatively had on a mask except me and her. And it's one of the things where when you're surrounded by people who look like zombies, they just comply without question. It makes me feel uncomfortable because I'm thinking like they're looking at me like I'm strange. But I'm like, so if you comply that easy and so concerned without having true evidence directly, imagine when it's time to go ahead and take that thing in your arm, you're going to be probably one of the first ones to line up as well. So it's all about compliance, man. This is one big social experiment. And it's unfortunate a lot of people don't question and stand up and just try to resist, as we mentioned the other week. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike. This is Jeff from Florida. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, Jeff. How you doing, my friend? What's on your mind?
Good. I haven't talked to you for a minute. If you get a chance, I'll try to send you a link. Look up this article. It's on CNBC, and it says nearly half the U.S. population is without a job, showing how far the labor market recovery has to go.
Yeah.
And it says on here, the employment population ratio, they said, is plunged to 52.8% in May. So we got nearly half the population that don't have a job. They have no income. And I think I read another article the other day, and it said like 25% of all the income right now is dependent on the government for income.
I think that's 40%. I think I saw that same thing, and I thought it could be 25%. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah, I was wrong. Wrong percentage.
I know that me and you are reading the same article, so I don't know the exact number, but I know we're on the same level playing field. So, anyways, if you look at that article, I just tried to send you the link.
Yeah, I got it right here.
Google it. Type in. Yeah, it says nearly half the U.S. population is without a job.
Yeah.
So, look, man, I know this is common sense, but every week, every month, we need to be coming up with ways that we can reduce our monthly expenses and try to increase our income.
Yeah.
Because all this money the government just got done printing, it's gonna take 3 months, 6 months, or a year to hit.
Yeah.
And once it hits, we're gonna be looking at cost of living inflation. It's gonna be like a big tidal wave. It's gonna hit everybody all at once.
Yeah.
I mean, gas, groceries, cell phone bill, everything is gonna keep going up.
Yeah.
And if you have no income or your income is flatlined and it's staying the same, every week, every month, there's going to be a problem. That's all I'm trying to say. Me myself, I've been working every week trying to work on new different. I've got like 3 different stream of income coming in, and I'm working on a 4th one right now.
Yes, sir.
So that's what I'm saying is every week, every month, we need to sit down and look at new ways we can review it because the government's not going to come and save us. That's what I'm trying to say. We can't depend on an unemployment check or the government to give you a stimulus bailout that's going to take care of us.
Right.
Anyways, I'll let you get back to your show. I appreciate you, Mike.
Appreciate you, my friend. Thanks for calling, Jeff. I got the article up here. I'm going to talk about it right now. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, buddy. All right. Bye.
Yep. Yeah, so that was appreciate Jeff for calling in. So Jeff, is a contributor of articles, and so I appreciate you for always sharing articles. So this article here was one of the things I was going to talk about. So I happen to have beat him to the punchline, but the article here, as you guys can see, I'll make it a little bit bigger. And so this caught my attention earlier as well. And it's one of those things where we're just over 100 days into the great financial apocalypse in a sense. And the job numbers, of course, 40 million. And then we had that week of a error in the calculation of job numbers to 2.5, even though it's been over 1.5 ever since then, which was about 3 weeks ago. And it hasn't been mentioned they haven't mentioned jobs lately at all, but yet here's what's happening as far as some statistics here. So it says employment population ratio, the number of employed people as percentage of the U.S. adult population plunged to 52.8% in May, meaning 47.2% of Americans are jobless. Yeah. So investors who like this week's job reports for an update on the pace for jobs. Yeah. So that's a whole other ballpark there. But this is what's happening. And this is, of course, a mainstream story. So take it for what it's worth because those numbers can be a lot higher. Let me see. I want to acknowledge this super chat from Debt and Regret from Australia, I believe. It says, we all know this virus, racist rise in media feeding the fire for civil rights are just a distraction to rob the people of their economic rights. Get your weight up. # love from the land of Oz. My friend, I appreciate you for that insight there, as well as the offering to the channel, my friend. But definitely, and it's one of those things where it usually boils back to the very basics, in a financial sense. I mean, we're just talking financially, even though it goes well beyond that. But yet financially, weight, metals have always been that anchor of wealth preservation. So regardless of whether you're a gold bug, a silver bug, whatever bug you are, you better be a bug of something tangible and real you can hold and feel. And on top of whatever else you do, consider it a blessing if you can do it and profit from it. But always never forget to go back home where it started at, with the weight, with the metals. And so here, let me see. Spirit King says that track you who doesn't have the FRD value using cameras. The best way to avoid it are masks. They will get complicated with you choosing freedom or death. Wow. Yeah. And so Spirit, I do believe that's the the agenda down the line. And so it's more so a matter of how much time and can anything be done to disrupt that? And that's where I think the question was thrown out there last week. I think it was last week about, what can we do? And ultimately, it's a matter of standing your ground and resisting. You have two options. You can comply or you can resist. And resist doesn't have to be nothing rebellious or revolutionary or any type of thing. It's just say no and trying to navigate around how to avoid being trapped into having to or being forced to on the spot type of thing. So, but yeah, as time moves forward, we're going to have more of an insight as to how fast of a pace we will be encouraged to or forced to make those type of decisions. So we'll see. Let me see here. Digital Oil says, doesn't the government has more metal than anyone? The government directly, apart from the Federal Reserve saying they have 8,300 tons, I personally don't believe it's there. And me knowing that they want to usher us forward into a digital world, I don't think they would even attempt to try to mention the words gold and silver outright. And so you have the people out there who say that you get the good guys and the bad guys, and the good guys are winning and they're going to introduce gold standard again. I don't think a gold standard is coming. So it's more so whatever standard you make for yourself. And of course you have those speculative assets on top of that, but I don't think gold and silver will be introduced directly. So it's up to you to do it for yourself. And it says, don't we need an alternative to do what governments have been collecting, government hoarding metal? So we should too. Yeah. And so that's the thing. I don't even consider it hoarding. And so hoarding is typically looked at and is frowned upon as something bad. But yet for those that know monetary history, is simply just saving. Once you know money is gold and silver from a historical standpoint, if you choose to redeem your fiat notes and to go backwards and to get something physical and tangible that has no outright counterparty risk, that's not hoarding. I think it's monetary common sense to just save in metals. But yet, unfortunately, that's nothing we are taught. You have to go get that information for yourself. Red Boy, I appreciate the love offering, my friend. It says, Mike, you are on top of the situation. Love tuning in. I appreciate you. And definitely feel free to give me a call, my friend. Curious to find out what neck of the woods you're from and what's happening in your area. So appreciate the love offering to the channel, my friend. And so let me see. I got another article here, I believe. No, let me see. Did I use it? Nope. That's all I have tonight. So yeah, phone lines are open. Give me a call. Let's talk for a little bit. Curious to find out what else is going on out there. And so I want to touch on something I mentioned earlier about the push towards going digital. And so from the very article, universal basic income, more of those experiments are going to be rolled out. And we're going to be given the so-called choice of participating until it's going to be something that majority of the population will require or want because of dire circumstances around them, that we're all going to be eventually surrounded by that type of environment where it's going to be tough because of inflation. And once again, for those that have not been to Walmart lately, the electronics section is mighty dry. I went, it was last week, I think it was, or 2 weeks ago, and the electronics department was very dry. And I'd imagine that's just the electronic side of things. So when it comes to the other goods, clothing and things of that nature, anything that's important to our country, I would imagine that's nothing I haven't heard anything on the surface about logistically the supply chains yet, but we all knew that as this trade situation continues to I truly believe the phase one deal has probably already been canceled. They just haven't told us yet because China has a whole gang of problems that they have to deal with, similar to what we're going through here. So they have their regime trying to do all types of things to their people. And here we got the regime as well doing things. So I don't think trade is really on the forefront. So I'd imagine that China made in China products a lot of the stuff is probably dried up. So what we have now might be all we have for quite some time, because there's not going to be, and there's more articles out here about how they're throwing out more and more dates just further down the line. 2021 before we can see a recovery. 2022 before this metric shows that the recovery, and then I saw something said 2023. I'm like, damn, like, just stop guessing. It doesn't do us any good to keep guessing on, what date will be ideal, what time frame, knowing damn well that as long as we're in a zero interest rate environment and debt is needed to keep this thing going, which is basically how the system operates, you can never really recover, because there's nothing that can create growth at this point. So the Federal Reserve have to do more of what they do, therefore robbing us blind. So anyway, let me stop ranting. Give me a call. Let's talk a little bit. So Jack says AT&T is cutting 3,400 jobs and shutting down more than 250 stores. Yeah. So I saw Microsoft is closing all their stores. And what else out there? So yeah, so those are just service sector jobs that will not be coming back. And so as we're transitioning into that digital and solely digital economy, e-commerce will be the numero uno of how people shop. We know small businesses have already been hijacked. And so it's just a matter of time before by next spring, depending on what line of work or what service a lot of those businesses were in, they will not be around, unfortunately. So we have a call here. Let me get to this.
Okay,
Hello, caller.
Mike,
What's your name? Where you calling from?
Brown again from Apollo Beach.
Yes, sir. What's your mind?
It's United Allied States is going to be the name of the New World Order, and the directors have already been appointed. You can Google that.
All right. United
Allied States.
Allied States. All right. Let me see what pops up here. All righty. Okay. Let me see. UAS. Okay. Here go an article right here. And so let me pop this up here. All right. So this is an article here. It says United Allied States shares a vision to build a global nation of sovereign states. Okay. So it looks like 11 days old. But I don't know much about it. But what's interesting is I see the Middle East here. I see Saudi Arabia nice and big. And then first thing comes to mind is that image of Trump and all the Saudi royals holding that globe. You remember that picture?
Oh, yes, I do. Very well.
And so,
yes.
Oh, man. So I don't know if this Middle East picture has anything to do with going on in here. But, yeah. And so here's another example of them putting it right in front of our face. But we'll see what happens, man. Dang, this is interesting. So I appreciate it. I'm gonna read. Yeah, go ahead.
The main four players are the United States, Russia, China, and India are the four main players. And then there's going to be 190 countries involved in this also.
All right, man.
I'm going to sing along.
All right, so I'm going to read some more of this because I'm curious to find out some of the nitty gritty inside. So thanks for bringing it to my attention, because I did not even hear the UAS. So
okay, Mike.
I appreciate you.
You're welcome.
All right.
Okay, have a nice.
Yeah. Wow. So this is interesting here. So I was not aware of this. United Allied States. So this initial report was out of South Africa. The founding principles of the U.S. are freedom. Okay. The founding principles are freedom, respect for human life, and free market enterprise. Oh, really? That sounds good, doesn't it? What else is this? The U.S. believes that together we can build the American dream. So the U.S. believes that together we can build the American dream in Africa and around the world. So just that statement right there, without even going any further. As I've always mentioned before, Africa, the continent of Africa is the next. It's going to be probably fought over. I can see China, Russia, and the U.S. going toe for toe for that continent because of how undeveloped it is and how naturally rich that region is, and it's relatively untapped. And so people have called in. I've seen more than enough stuff to let me know that China's influence in Africa is heavy. And so it looks like if this is an authentic article here and the U.S. is involved, they want a piece of the pie as well. And so it says the central goal. Okay, I already read that one. So the sovereignty, USA, whatever. So interesting. USA maintains laissez-faire market conditions, empowering businesses to grow and innovate, and enabling all workers to prosper. Citizens and businesses pay 0% Citizens and businesses pay 0% personal income tax and 0% corporate tax, respectively, and there is no property tax. Wow, sign me up. I'm going. What in the world? So this is, of course, this is just a interesting article here. So we're going to dive more into this. I will be talking about this further because no taxation all the way around the board. That's my type of area. So for those that, if anybody's familiar with this, feel free to let me know what your thoughts are on that, because it sounds good on the surface, but they're talking about free markets, and I'm not sure, how what the monetary system is going to be like in order and all that, but it's not going to be a free market style financial system. It's going to be centrally controlled. So yeah, Africa is well tapped with the U.S. and China. Well tapped. There's presence there, but I'd imagine, okay, so a lot of the funding and the bases or whatever is there, but yet the land overall is not completely drained out. So it might be well tapped, but it hasn't been depleted. And so there's more, I believe there's probably more opportunity as well as untapped land and resources in that area than there is here in the U.S., especially in the developed world in general. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike, how you doing? It's Brandon Commando.
Brandon Commando. How you doing, my friend? What's in your mind?
I'm doing pretty good. Well, I just got a little delivery in the mail today. And it's a EMP pouch, so I can put my Ledger X, my crypto cold storage.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a little wallet thing that supposedly, has like a Faraday net around it. So, I'm just reminding everybody that they keep talking about power outages. I don't know if we feel it coming or if they're going to threaten some kind of down power grid.
Yeah.
But I think an anonymous EMP might do the job pretty well.
Yeah. And so I'm glad you mentioned that, because I saw some advertising for some book bags and all types of things to store extra computers in and stuff like that. So I have yet to actually go out and acquire one, but I am aware of that. So thanks for bringing that to our attention.
Yeah, and the other thing is, people keep talking about the banks failing or a credit freeze, this and that, and we think like crypto is so outside the system, but it really isn't.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some of the bigger crypto guys are saying like the banks go down, you should expect the exchanges to go down as well. So if there's going to be a liquidity crisis, it's going to affect the crypto exchanges.
Yeah.
So you guys got to get your tokens off the exchanges.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And that's that whole idea. Make sure you hold your keys, whatever that movement was about. If you don't hold it, you don't hold it, you don't own it. So make sure you got your keys. So yeah, hey man.
For a lot of these new guys, if you've been using Robinhood to invest in Bitcoin, Robinhood doesn't give you private keys. You don't really own those tokens.
Oh yeah, and I would imagine it just says Bitcoin or whatever else, but they probably don't even own it themselves. So that's because it's all on their platform and it's centrally controlled. So you can sell you whatever they want to say, but can you actually get it when you need it? Probably not. But yeah. Hey man, I appreciate you calling.
Just wanted to bring it up to everyone's mind. Yeah.
Appreciate you. Thanks for calling in.
All right, Mike. Have a great one.
Yeah, you too. Yes, sir. Appreciate you. Not your keys, not your cryptos. Okay. I think that's what it is. Debt and Regret. It says, have you seen the 1981 movie Rollover? About a dollar collapse in the Arabs buying gold through the U.S. debt repayment. Sounds like China now dumping U.S. debt and buying gold and gold mines. No, I don't think I saw that movie. It doesn't ring a bell, but thanks for bringing it to my attention. It's one of the things where I'm sure I can touch on now. And so it says China's now dumping U.S. debt and buying gold and gold mines. So yeah, that process has been underway for quite some time now. And I think more people even, well, probably not those that follow just solely the mainstream narrative. All the alternative media know that China is probably holding the most gold, period. And what I also found earlier, which I wanted to tweet it out, but I did not get a chance. But I came across an article that was talking about how China, and when I love to talk about Bitcoin, especially just because I've been on this Bitcoin kick for whatever reason, just because I think, as I mentioned earlier, that I'm just concerned that people are being led astray and enticed based upon prior results. And that was the last little Bitcoin spike and everything that happened from there. And so a lot of people have lost more than they've actually gained in this last little 2-year cycle or so. But That's my point. But okay, so if China also, I believe there's people out there that probably say they have 20,000 tons, and who actually knows except for them and probably the orchestrators of this whole shift. They probably know how much weight they're sitting on. But then also factor in when it comes to this, the mining power. And so I came across an article today that said China controls 65% of the global mining hash rate output for Bitcoin itself. And so with that being the case, and it was relatively a newer article, it had me thinking like, wow, like China, they not only control or probably possess the most amount of physical gold, but then they also have the largest hash rate, which means they are supporting the entire sector single-handedly in a sense. And so they are in a very favorable position for the monetary system because not only do they have the most gold, but they also have the most hash power. And so it seems like they've positioned themselves very favorably to call the shots moving forward. And so because of that, amongst everything else, I've always been concerned with, and this is talking solely about Bitcoin, how it is not decentralized. It's heavily concentrated into the top 1% of wallets. And then on top of that, the security aspect, as far as those who hold the most hash power, is determined by the Chinese. So gold, Bitcoin, take your poison. They control the current monetary system already without even needing to actually have dollars. So that's something that I am really going to talk more about, just because I just like being that skeptic, as I always am. I just like to have those tough talks that nobody really want to have. So Alan, definitely, we're gonna have more of that down the line. I appreciate you for coming on Thursday, my friend. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Mike, Tim, Colorado.
Tim, how you doing, my friend?
Good. Hey, good stuff on cryptocurrencies. I love following your thoughts on that.
Appreciate you, my friend. Appreciate you. What's on your mind?
Well, I think we're in big trouble. I think we're in the middle of a Bolshevik revolution, Weimar Germany from the 30s, man.
Yeah.
This is a well-orchestrated event. This is not by accident. This is not grassroots. This is a massive deal.
Yeah. So I saw the Bolshevik revolution from Wayne Jet. So you watched that already?
No, I didn't. But I looked up the history of the Bolshevik revolution, and it's pretty scary stuff, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, so I apart from just skimming the surface, I haven't dived into it deep, but thanks for bringing it up, and I'm definitely going to watch that interview with Wayne Jet. I think it was on SGT report, I think it was. So, but yeah,
I watch him frequently. Yeah, this is bad news, man.
I would agree.
Anybody standing up to anything, and we can't, because if we do. If we try and defend a statue or something, we're going to go to jail. Heck, the two people that were defending their property, they're talking about trying to prosecute them.
Really? You talking about in St. Louis?
Yes. Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
Well, it was their own property.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're poor or anything, but, if you're going to bust down my gate, it's kind of lead time.
Yeah, yeah. And I think you're referring to, I saw that little clip or whatever down in St. Louis. So they went into a private driveway and people were standing outside with a pistol and a machine gun. So, yeah, and it's unfortunate that the social unrest. And I'm really becoming. I've been beyond disturbed that the whole Black Lives Matter. Whenever I see those crowds, I don't see many people of color in those damn crowds. And that's like, okay, is that really Black Lives Matter, or is that just a spinoff or the opposite of Antifa? So. Yeah, people are being duped, man.
It has nothing to do. It's just divide and conquer.
Yeah, I agree, man.
We're all the same. There's one race, right? The human race.
All right, I agree, my man.
And there's two genders. And the rest of it can eat lead.
Yeah.
All right, brother.
I appreciate you.
Keep up the great work. Okay?
Appreciate you, my man.
We love you, man.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, political correctness these days. You have to say it the right way. If you don't, then you'll be frowned upon. So we've become so soft in nature that, the ability to use free speech is being hindered day by day. Anyway, so a couple more phone calls. We'll get ready to dial back. I saw some thoughts out there I want to touch on. What was it about? It says, so Jesse James says gold grows on trees. $E will be mined and crypto is a scam. laughing my butt off. Said the image that truly created lost civilization. So I was talking about, yeah, okay. So I wish I could find that article, but let me see if I can't find it. Yeah, but it was a very interesting article, and it had me thinking about how concentrated the sector is. So and that's just one. So it's not the end. It's not the big. It would not be the beginning and the end. It was more so the introduction. So, but it's just the fact that Bitcoin is a leading story of all crypto assets, and then you have some on top of it. But yet, I like the idea that it will not be the final digital asset that we're going to be using, I believe, down the line. But if everyone's heavily concentrated in it, that's a lot of people stand to lose a lot for those that have gone in full steam ahead. Very little about Black. Yeah, Black Lives Group. So yeah, and that's it says Mike, I'm Black. We both know that we are not going to protest. Okay, Juneteenth. Not going to protest on June. Okay, yeah. So what's funny is I wasn't even paying attention about those protests on Juneteenth. So I would assume they were still on the streets, and I've seen more than enough videos now where you have people marching side by side, black and then white, and then you have somebody, spray paint, or vandalizing something, and they were not black. And so I saw a couple of black people check them, saying, that's not what we do, that's not what we're here for. So I would assume from stuff like that, people realizing that they've been infiltrated by some people who are being paid to terrorize and tear stuff up. But yet, once again, the mainstream media won't go that deep to talk like that. So it stays in the alternative media realm. And unfortunately, if you guys haven't noticed, more and more, YouTube is literally cracking down more and more on not only alternative media, but I've seen a lot of other people who don't even talk about this type of stuff. They're getting less reviews and things like that. So yeah, I'd imagine pretty soon, before we get into fall, I can imagine YouTube literally canceling channels unless the legislation that's being put forth on removing some of the special privileges that social media outlets have held because of them being news outlets. If that moves through, which I think Trump will probably end up cracking down on the mainstream news sectors, hopefully we can get a nice little rally where more people can get this alternative information and come to their senses before the winter time. So anyway, what else we got going on here? It says, what is the funny spirit king? Right, man? This is a joke, man. Yeah, YouTube is mainstream now. Yeah. It says, yeah, if you can get land in 2 to 3 states, do it, even if the quarter acre wide the states may on their own. Yeah. So yeah, yeah, man. So I'm gonna be talking more about that moving forward, because I've been doing some investigative work on my end on how to better put your Federal Reserve notes to use while you still can. And so you have as I always mention, the 3 avenues. You got the 3 S's. You got save, speculate, and spend. And saving in the metal, speculating in whatever's trendy that allows you to profit, to be able to then extract more, to go save more. And then, of course, you got to save a little bit, just because there's going to be bargains as time moves forward. So outside of that, I want to get into more specifics as to some things we can do. So that's why I'm going to probably reach out to more individuals that specialize in different areas so that we can get a well-rounded viewpoint. Because my primary strategies, as you guys know, is just get your weight up. Like, you can't go wrong getting your weight up. Anything else, can be kind of risky unless you know what you're doing. What else we got going on? It says, sound like technocracy, but ruled by non-elected experts. Yeah, very true. And so we're going to have, or we're currently right now entering into that digital revolution between decentralized and centralized. We got those on the free market side of things, supposedly. And then we have those on the concentrated central bank controlled currencies. And so that's going to be rolled out. We're going to find out more about the CBDC, especially the article I did earlier, coming up through the Universal Basic Allowance programs, all designed. And that's going to be the last, that might be the last form of a bailout. So right now, Wall Street, Main Street entities are getting bailed out with all this lending programs, or just basically nobody's going to be able to pay that stuff back anyway. But so basically giving away funds to the 1% crowd, those that hold real assets, basically land business owners, landowners, stuff like that. And so the very last hoorah to get bailed out will have to be the people, because there's no way in the world that anybody will be willing to accept any form of a new currency, digital or paper, from a single entity unless they're going to call themselves giving it out through an allowance. Because as the wealth gap continues to increase, it's going to be hard to get people to believe in Biden or Trump. It don't matter who wins. If there is an election, it's going to be hard to sell the people on the concepts of saving and investing like normal when you don't have a job. And so people will be, it's going to get ugly, man. It's going to get ugly real fast. What else we got going on? So about to get ready to dial back. We're at that 50-minute point. Phone line's not ringing. So that lets me know that you guys are probably tapped out for the day. And so as always, man, it's great to hang out and to hear from those that called in and share their thoughts. Let's connect again. Same time, same place. Going to try to do a little news story if I can in the afternoon to cover some articles that might be hot during the day. And then in the evening, we can gather again and do some discussing. And also, I think I'm going to do, I haven't done it in a couple months, is have an RTD meetup where we have a chance for everybody here to join us in a live virtual stream. And you guys can just hang out. We just talk trash and go back and forth and hang out a little bit. So I'm going to try to set that up this week as well. So stay tuned for that. You can just join me via camera and, let me know where you're watching from. Get a chance to see some faces other than just hearing voices. So other than that, everybody, it's been great hanging out. If you've enjoyed the back and forth, don't be afraid to donate a thumbs up. Just click the button beneath this. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that notification bell, because if not, YouTube will not notify you and you'll never be informed and you'll never get a chance to connect. So anyway, other than that, be blessed, be safe, and I will see you guys later. Peace.